When you're doing academic research, you often end up using the databases that are available through your institution's library. Now, in this video, I just want to give you a few tips and examples of how you can search those databases effectively. In this example, we'll use the MLA database, but you should be able to take these ideas and transpose them and apply them to different databases as well. When I search a database, one of the first things I like to do is I like to just do a very general search first. And that way I can kind of see what's out there, and then we can start refining it. So let's say that we're working on William Shakespeare, and we're dealing with the play Much Ado About Nothing. So Much Ado About Nothing. I'm going to put the title in here, and then I'm going to put quotation marks around it. And what that does is it's going to search for the entire phrase rather than the disconnected words. Okay, so we have a couple of things here. Let's just do a quick search and let's see what comes up. 462 results, so that's quite a lot, and we probably want to refine this further. Let's go back then to our search. We'll do an advanced search here, and now we're going to do a little bit of refining. One thing you can do is you can select different fields, and there are lots of options here, but one that's quite useful is if you click on subject. So if we scroll down, we click on subject, and you'll see in a minute what that's actually going to search. You can also search for the phrase in the title if you really want to refine it, or in different things as well. Underneath here, you have lots of different options. So for instance, if we want to search just for a particular date range, we could do that. Let's search for 1990 to 2018. Now let's just click 2018. We can change what publication type we want. The period is maybe not as relevant. That's when the article or the book was written. You can click on full text, and full text is great if you're procrastinating and at the last minute you only want things that you can access right away. But do be aware that when you search these kinds of databases, they often don't have the full text of everything. They are simply indexing the different things that are out there. And just because the database doesn't have the full text doesn't mean that you can't get it through your library. So I wouldn't necessarily click on full text, but we'll do this here just as an example. Okay, let's do a search. And there we go. Now we just have 32 results. So we've been able to really narrow it down. And you can see that in the subjects area here, these are like keywords basically, you can see that Much Ado About Nothing shows up. And that's why it helped to put the subject as a field. All right, let's go back again. And we're going to do a slightly different search. Let's say that we have a few key terms that we want to use. So we have a few key terms. And maybe on the topic sheet from your instructor for your essay, you notice some of these terms. Well, you probably want to put them in. Maybe you're writing an essay about comedy. Okay, so there we go. And notice that it gives you some suggestions here. So what this does, by putting or here in between these suggestions, it's going to treat them as synonyms. It's basically saying, well, we're going to search for all of these terms, and if one isn't in there, if the other one is, it's still going to show up. This is a little bit different than if you use, for instance, these other options here. You can also use these. These are called Boolean operators. Basically, they allow you to exclude things, or they allow you to create choice. The results will be a little bit different if you use this kind of or, as opposed to the or within a search box. All right, so we have these different options now, and let's just do the search first of all. So let's see what comes up. Okay, 327 results, so that's still quite a bit. Notice that when you look at the subjects area, the word comedy keeps coming up here. You can see that. Both of these first two results have the word comedy. And what's happening here, I think, is that because the play is a comedy as a genre, this term is going to come up all the time, even if the article isn't really about humor. What we might want to do then is simply take this term out. And we're also just going to add a different spelling of humor here. Although I don't think it'll make a difference in this example, but do be aware of spelling. So we're going to change this up a little bit. And now if we search again, Let's see here. Now we have just 5 results. So that really limited it, and we can see the difference then between these searches. As we scroll down here, you'll notice that there's an article on Dogberry. That's one of the characters in the play, and Dogberry is a very funny character. So when we look at these different titles and these different subject areas, we should see them as inspiration for future searches. We could, for instance, just do a search for Dogberry and see what that brings up. And now we have 8 results, so slightly different results, but searching is all about just fooling around with the search terms. It's trial and error, and eventually you tend to find what you're looking for. Okay, let's do another search this time, and we're gonna get some different results here. I'm gonna search for Hamlet. I'm just gonna reset this to any field, and in this case we're gonna add a different search term here, feminism, but I'm not gonna finish it. I'm gonna add this asterisk here. And this is what's called truncation, which is where it's going to look now for all of these different endings: feminism, feminist, femininity. I'm leaving the last bit open in terms of how it's going to finish this word. So that's a really cool feature. And let's see what comes up. 61 results. Now let's actually try this not Boolean operator, and we're going to add Ophelia here, who is one of the characters. Not sure why you'd want to exclude her from your search, but let's pretend that you do. And we can do this again. Now it's only 37, and so we have excluded a bunch of results. Okay, I'm going to leave you with a couple of final tips as you do these searches. One of the cool things you can do is if you click, for instance, on this particular source, you can actually search within a specific journal. So you find the journal, you click on it, and then it's going to bring this up in your text box. Notice that you could also just type it in yourself, JN with quotation marks around the journal title, and then you can search within all the issues of this journal. So we can look for Hamlet, and what we're going to see now is that there are 29 results in terms of articles that are specifically from this journal on this topic. Last thing I'll mention is if you click on the source itself, you have a whole bunch of options. My library provides a where can I find this link, so even if there's no PDF of it or no way to read it on the screen, I may still be able to get it through the library. And then on the right side, I have other options as well. The most important one here is cite. And what that does is it gives you a whole bunch of citation options here, so you can just copy and paste these into your essay, and then you do have to do a little bit of formatting because they're not necessarily perfectly formatted. One of the key things to watch out for is that you tend to have straight quotation marks instead of those beautiful curved quotation marks. Okay, that's it for searching the databases effectively. Hopefully you found this useful.